friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using the Hello Bluebird Moose and Friends stamp set and the Echo Park Happy Birthday Girl 6x6 pad. I've stamped my images out on some Copic friendly cardstock using Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to be coloring with my Copic markers today. I am using quite a few images on today's card, so there is going to be quite a bit of coloring, so if that's not your thing, you may want to skip ahead. But I'm starting with my moose, and I'm using E41, E43, E44, and E47. And since he is a large image, I'm going to break him down into sections, so for right now I'm just concentrating on his legs. I started with the E47 and laid in my shadows and blended those out with the E44, and now I'm coming in with that E43 and softening that up even further. The back leg there I am filling in completely with the E43 because I want it to look pushed back in the shadows. The other three legs I'm going to save a little bit of room for the E41 as a highlight since they're all tilted towards the front and would be in more sunlight. I'm moving on to the moose's head, being sure to add some shadows underneath his antlers and around his ears and a little bit on the sides of his face to give him that rounded appearance. And that makes sense because the side that's tilted towards us is also tilted toward the ground, so there would be some shadow. And the side that it is away from us is also going to be in shadow. So that saves the lightest portion for the eyes, which really highlights them nicely. I'll finish up the rest of his body by putting my shadows right where his antlers are. Being as big and large as they are, they would definitely cast a shadow on his body. And then I will save a little strip down on his belly for a lightness because animals typically do have a lighter belly, and then also a little bit of highlighted area right on the top of his back where the sun would hit the most. For his antlers, I used E41 as my darkest shade and blended out with the E40. For my owls, I'm using a whole range of E70s. I'm using E70, E71, E74, E77, and E79. And I'm starting with the E79 and adding my shadows. Now, because he is tilted more towards the right, he's going to have much deeper shadows on the left-hand side. So I am concentrating on that and then just doing a little bit there on the right hand side to balance it out since that is the other side of his body and it's facing away from us and away from the sun. And then I'm blending out with the E77, just kind of softening that up and saving a little room on his wings and a little bit on the top of his head for that E74, which is going to be my lightest shade on his face. And then on the areas around his eyes and also on his belly, I'll be using the E71 and the E70. I've colored my second owl exactly the same, and now I'm moving on to my skunk. For him, I'm using W5, W7, and W9. And even though I want him to be black, I definitely want him to have a little bit of depth to him like the other critters. If you were to just color him solid black, he would be really flat on the page. So by using these darker grays, he's still going to look black, but he's going to come to life. So I used the W9 as my darkest and then blended with the W7 and then saved the W5 for the lightest portion on the black part of his body. And I also used the W7 to color in the moose's hooves. For the skunk's white stripe, I used W00 and W1. So now that all my critters are colored, I'm going to color in the tree stump, which is going to be in the center of my card. And for that I'm using E51, E53, E55, and E57. I'm starting with that E57 and doing some shading from either side, and then blending that with the E55. For this one, I am imagining that the light source is coming full on, so I am pulling the color towards the center. And now I'm using that E53 to fill in all the rest. And then I'll use the E53 for my shadow on the top and blend that with the E51. Since I used really neutral colors for all my main images, I'm going to color my accessories in bright, happy colors. And I'm starting with this happy balloon. For the H, I'm using RV21, RV23, and RV25. And on all of these balloons, I'm going to be shading on the right and bottom edges of the balloon. So I have my darkest with the RV25, and then blending up with the RV23 and filling with the RV21. I'm also going to use that RV21 to color in the moose's nostrils and the skunk's ear. And then I will use that entire combination to color in the top of my cupcake, as well as the stripes on 2 of the party hats and 1 of the salad party hats. The A I'm going to color in orange, and I'm using YR04, YR07, and YR09. Again, shading on the right and bottom with that YR09, and then blending out with the YR07, and finishing with the YR04. And I'm also going to use the YR04 to color in the flame of my candle and the little owl's beaks and feet. For the first P, I'm going to use Y11, Y13, and Y15. Started with that Y15, blending out with the Y13 and the Y11. And I'm also going to color in a couple of the stripes on my hats and my mushrooms with this combination. For the next P, I'm using BG11, BG45, and BG49. Starting with the BG49 as my darkest. This is a nice rich teal color, and blending with that BG45. I thought that the BG11 would be okay on its own, but it was kind of a tough transition, so I did also bring in the BG13 to help with that blend, and again colored in a few of my accessories with this shade. The Y is going to be purple, and I'm using V91, V93, V95, and V99, and I started with the V99, blending out with the V95, and then I'm going to fill in most of the rest with the V93, save a little bit at that top left for the V91. I've finished up my last few accessories and trimmed them out with the matching dies. For my background, I've got a piece of Bristol Smooth Surface cardstock trimmed out with the Mama Elephant Femme Frames dies. And I'm going to do a little watercoloring with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. I started out by wetting the surface of the paper with some clean clear water, and then I'm going to scribble the markers off on an acrylic block and paint them onto the background. I wanted my sky to be at dusk, so I started with number 083 Lilac and painted that onto the top half of the card. Then I'm going to come in with number 031 Cobalt Blue, and I'm going to paint that in the center. I'm going to overlap some of that lilac so that I get a nice blend between the two colors. And then I'm going to come in with number 041 Light Green for my grass, and I'm going to just paint that down right at the bottom, and then I'll take a little bit of water and blend that in with the blue. I'm going to add another layer of each of these colors to deepen them up, and then I'm going to take some clean clear water around the outside edges just to have it fade off and get real soft, and then I'll set this panel aside to dry. Once it has dried completely, I can begin to add my images. I'm starting with the stump because I want that to be right in the center, and I'm going to focus everything else around that. So right next to that, I'm going to place my moose because I want him to look like he's blowing out the candle when I put my cupcake on top. I'm going to add the little owl with the balloon to his left, and then the skunk is going to go on the right hand side. I'll add one of the mushrooms behind the skunk to kind of fill up that area there. And then the other one is going to go overlapping the tree stump, so it looks like it's growing right in front of that. The cupcake is going to go on the tree stump right in front of the moose, since I'm imagining that it's his birthday. I'm going to set the happy balloon right up at the top because I'm not sure how I want to attach that just yet. And in the meantime, I'm going to give each of my critters a little party hat. Not only is it cute and festive, but it gave me another opportunity to add more pops of color across the card. The owl is going to go up in the sky. Since he looks like he's fluttering his wings, he's going to be flying up right above the little skunk. And now I needed to figure out how I was going to attach those balloons. There is a stamp for the strings, but I forgot to use it before I put my critters down. So my next option was to use some actual string. I wish that I would have had something a little bit thinner, like some thread. All I had was this button twine, which is a bit thick, but it does serve the purpose. So I just tied the strings into a knot, and I adhered them with some score tape to the back of each of the letters. I wanted to make it look as though the flying owl was holding on to the ends, but there was too much slack in the twine, so I just pulled that off and readjusted, trimmed off the ends, and then adhered that knot down to his wing with a glue dot. I had wanted to stamp the word birthday either underneath or beside it, but once I had everything laid out on the card, it just didn't seem like it would be in balance. So I kind of left it for now and continued with the rest of the card while I thought about it. I trimmed down 2 pieces of pattern paper, one with the Mama Elephant Femme frames. This is the other die in that set of 2. And then this one I just trimmed out with my paper trimmer to the same size as the card, which is 4 1/4 tall by 5 1/2 wide. So it is a standard A2 landscape style card. I adhered my papers to my card front with some liquid glue, and then I added my focal panel right over top with some foam tape. Just made sure that was nice and centered, and then press that down into place. I'm going to pop my entire card into my MISTI and stamp with some fresh lavender ink on the inside. I'm using the little beaver and the birthday cake, and I'm continuing the sentiment onto the inside since I couldn't figure out a way to put it on the outside. So the entire card from front to back will read, "Happy birthday, let's celebrate." You can't have a festive party without some glitter, so as a final embellishment, I'm going to take my favorite crystal stickles and I'm going to add some to each of the party hats and the cupcake and the dots on the mushroom and all the balloons. I like to use this as an accent, so I'm not going to cover things completely. I typically put it in the shaded areas because I think it shows up the best there. And that is going to complete our card for today. I'm going to lift it up to the light so you can see all that sparkle, and I'll give you another peek at the inside as well. I absolutely love these adorable images from Hello Bluebird, and this set actually has so many more critters that I didn't even get to use, so I will definitely be making more cards with this set very soon. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have your support. If you are and you want to make sure that my videos always end up in your feed, just go ahead and ring that notification bell. Here's 2 extra videos you may also be interested in, and hopefully those will tide you over until my next one. Until then, I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.